current times, students have a lot of exposure to social media, and they are much more techno-savvy as compared to a lot of adults. So they become easy targets to being cyber criminals. So it is our responsibility to make sure that they are aware of what are the threats online and how can they be empowered to deal with those threats that they may face on a day-to-day basis.
One important point that we need to understand is that teenagers especially don't necessarily see their behavior as risky, but some of their behavior can be quite risky, and especially when it is online, it remains. There are the footprints of whatever actions that you've taken remain, and not only can it harm you at a personal level, but there may also be legal consequences that are associated. So we want to raise, as a school, we want to raise awareness about cyber issues, cyber crimes. It is possible that our children, our students may be exposed to some of these, and therefore we are raising awareness before such issues happen. This video is also a warning to all the people involved, because it is important to understand the kind of consequences that both short-term and long-term consequences that such actions might have. So we'll talk about some of the common issues that students, teenagers especially, can face or be even involved with. One of the most common ones is bullying, and bullying may take different forms. Here we're talking about defamation, posting something nasty about someone on a public or even a private page, teasing, harassment, messaging someone constantly. It's almost like stalking. I mean, which is a specific legal crime. All of these, if we talk about together as bullying, are cyber crimes, which the perpetrators or people who initiate such actions can be taken to task for. Another issue that we may talk about is impersonation.
So impersonation is an act of pretending to be someone else. For example, a student is creating an account in the name of some other student and trying to defame that person, or even if messaging by the name of the other student, that is called impersonation. There are other issues like identity theft or hacking. All these things has an impact on the child at a larger level.
And I think what's important to note is, again, students and teenagers, especially when they are experimenting, they think these things are fun. Yeah. And maybe at some level they're just doing it as masti, as they call it. But they need to understand that these are actually crimes, and in whether or not they are crimes, these are things that can hurt people, even if your intention is not that. So that's something that students need to understand.
Even just for fun, they try to gain access to somebody else's email account or any other social media accounts to understand what's happening in their lives, and that may be for fun or on a lighter note, but it may land them in big trouble.
Another serious issue that we need to talk about is sexting, which is becoming more prevalent in today's society because of easy access to especially mobile devices and social media.
Sexting is when students exchange sexually explicit text or images with visible body parts. Now, this is something that students do just for fun or for peer pressure or because they are into a relationship. But even in these cases, whether it is done with mutual consent or not, both the receiver as well as the sender are punishable by law.
Here it is very important for students to understand that they may give into the peer pressure and send their pictures or send text messages, but it does have repercussions in the future, and it may impact their learning or their personality or their identity.
Yeah, I think it's important for students to understand long-term repercussions, what they have to imagine what would happen if these messages or these images are shared on a public media or a social media, and in many cases this will happen. A lot of people will say, "No, we will not send it to anyone. किसी को नहीं भेजूँगा, सिर्फ मैं रखूँगा." But it will go out eventually, because that's the nature of teenagers. I mean, they like to brag, they want to show off. I mean, this is part of showing off. Unfortunately, it has long-term repercussions which students need to understand. We've talked about four important issues or cybercrime that students should be aware of. We've talked about bullying or defamation, harassment. We've talked about impersonation. We've talked about hacking, and we've talked about sexting. There are a bunch of other crimes also which are related to cyber crimes, and we're not talking about them in detail in this video. We are, however, sending across a booklet, a cybercrime legal toolkit, which has been prepared by an NGO, which can help parents and students understand the range of these issues and what actions can be taken. Each of them lists out the legal consequences also for each of the issues. And if you go through them, even a cursory glance will tell you that most of them carry 2 to 3 years of imprisonment and have fines which range from 2 lakhs to 10 lakhs. It is important here to note that most of the acts are independent of the age of the student or age of the person who is perpetrating the action. So therefore, whatever the legal consequences are given apply to students of any age. In some cases, juvenile law may apply, but that's going to be based on the nature of the offence and the context that is involved.
So whatever be the legal consequences in such cases, the school also has a set of consequences for students indulging in such activities. As students indulge in bullying, otherwise this also has severe implications on the overall well-being of the student who falls victim to such scenarios. So there will be consequences for students ranging from detention or expulsion. So in severe cases, students may also be asked to leave the school.
So, understanding the role of school in the development of a child in this digital world, we have drafted this comprehensive policy to address cyber issues, and also we have developed an emergency response systems to prevent and address the cyber issues in a detailed and elaborate manner. We expect students to approach us whenever they face some issue, and approach the counselors or the management whenever they feel that they are at risk of any kind of cyber issue.
An important reminder for parents is that you need to understand the implications of this. Seriously, don't take it lightly. It may affect your ward, and therefore it is important that you have a discussion with him or her and take corrective actions if any behavioral changes need to be made.
We will be sending across a cybercrime legal toolkit along with a cybercrime policy framed specifically for the school and an undertaking to all parents. Parents and students are requested to go through all these documents and sign the undertaking and send it across to school. We understand that this is the need of the hour and this is the start of the campaign which we intend to run through the year to ensure that all our students understand the implications of the cyber issues that are prevalent in the current times. We also expect parents to support us in this initiative.
Stay safe online.